Alright guys, I got some good news and some bad news. Good news is I'm making a video again here. Welcome back. Bad news is I got my YouTube revenue check from last month. Turns out it's great that I got the check, but the big problem is the check was for $0.00. Not good. So we're gonna have to take some drastic measures here. I got an expensive lifestyle. I got to buy some grass-fed, grass-finished beef, the pasture-raised eggs for $9. So now we're gonna take some different measures here, and we're gonna join the dregs of the internet and make a reaction video. Very excited for this. So today, the subject of the reaction video is Mr. Alan Thrall, the excommunicated starting strength coach, the he who shall not be named. Nah, I like Alan Thrall. I like his videos. Subscribed, obviously. But there is, as with anybody on the internet, even people within starting strength, there are a couple things. I got a little point of contention here, got a little bone to pick. So we're going to go ahead into this and pick a bone or two, pick a boner or two. So let's take a look at this here video, and I'll tell you what I don't like. This is Alan Thrall's top 10 exercises. I have the video set to 1.5 times speed, so it's going to be nice and quick. He's going to be speaking quickly, so try to keep up.
Hey everyone, I'm Alan Thrall here at Team Strength Gym in Sacramento, California, and in this video I'm going to be talking about a trend that's floating around YouTube. I'm a little late to the party, but it's the top 10 exercises you would pick to speed ramp your progress. It's hard to list 10 exercises in a convincing manner. And what I'm trying to say is I have a hard time convincing you guys that this exercise is so much better than that exercise. Unless we're talking about vastly different exercises, like should I do the barbell back squat or a single?
Yeah, I don't have a hard time with that, Alan. It's called the 3 exercise criteria, all right? So you got the most amount of muscle mass used in the movement, you got the longest effective range of motion, and the most amount of weight that you can lift with the movement. So that really narrows it down right away. But I'll tell you why Alan's saying this in a second, why I think at least. And I'll break that down.
Single arm band curl. Obviously I'm going to explain for a number of reasons why the barbell back squat is a better use of your time. But when we're comparing leg exercises, for example, you can do a hack squat machine and build just as much muscle, and dare I say strength, doing a squat machine versus barbell squats. Obviously the person who's doing barbell squats is going to be able to barbell squat more than the person doing machines, given everything is the same, because barbell squatting requires some skill. But my point is this: when we talk about muscle hypertrophy, tendon, ligament, bone strength, whether you want to do free weights or machines, it doesn't really matter. You can.
That's like the opposite of the quote in the blue book, by the way, where he talks about the squat, and he's like, there's no other exercise that has all this stuff. And then Alan's like, well, you can actually get all this stuff, and when it comes to that, it doesn't actually matter at all. So that's the thing I have contention with. I would contend that actually it does matter which lift you do, quite a bit. For the reasons I listed before, we got the 3 exercise criteria. But then also on top of that, we got, if you compare like a squat versus a hack squat, which is Alan's comparison right here, right? He's saying it doesn't matter which lift you do. Like, you're going to get stronger, you're going to make progress. So like, that's kind of true to some level, right? So if you go into the gym, you're squatting or you're doing a hack squat, like if you're a novice, you're going to get stronger just by doing something, right? Because you've never done anything. But if you want to optimize your results, you should be squatting because you're going to get the most bang for your buck. You're going to learn a lot more than just how to go up and down on the machine, right? There's no skill component to it. You're not getting the same level of neuromuscular activation, quote unquote, for all the YouTube community out here. You're not getting the same level of bone and tendon strength. You're not incorporating the most amount of muscle, and you might lift more weight on a hack squat, but you're not actually lifting a lot of the weight because of the way the machine is set up. There's a lot of you're not producing a lot of the work against gravity, unfortunately. So it kind of does matter what you do in the long term. And also, even in the short term, you're kind of cheating yourself out of those big benefits. So you're still going to get that novice effect, but, you're not going to get it in every facet. So I guess if your focus is just building a pair of big legs, which I think he gets into next, we can touch on that now. But even then, I would still have, another thing or two to say on that.
You can even decide to never touch free weights or machines and just do bodyweight exercises and build plenty of muscle, given you can accumulate enough training volume.
Also, I think that's complete nonsense as far as leg exercises go. I don't think you can build anywhere near a sick pair of legs, like squatting and deadlifting, doing bodyweight stuff, because you just can't get it heavy or stressful enough. You'd have to do like 1 million air squats, which is like impractical and impossible. You're going to get like terribly sore and can't repeatedly do that. And then also like anything that is going to grow the hips and the knees, any leg exercise, essentially, you're going to have to load it in such a way that you can, that the limiting factor is not your rack position. So like if you're doing a goblet squat, right, the limiting factor is how much weight you can hold onto your chin right here with a dumbbell. But if you're doing a squat or a deadlift, right, it's supported in a fashion that's ergonomic with the barbell. So you don't have to worry about your hands and your arms failing. You can push closer to failure on your your legs or even your back technically with a squat or a deadlift. But like regardless, you're using tons of big muscles. You can load like more than twice as much weight with those movements. So obviously those are the ones that you should do. I guess if you're doing like push-ups or chin-ups or something, I mean, like I still don't think your push-ups are going to be stressful enough to get you really jacked in the upper body. Like chin-ups are pretty helpful, I think. If you can do like 20 chin-ups, you're probably pretty jacked. But I don't think the same can be said for like pretty much any other bodyweight movement. So,
Meaning if you can only do 1 push-up and 0 pull-ups, jumping on a push-up pull-up program might not be enough. You're actually going to benefit from using some free weights to do like 50 reps, to use a lat pull-down machine to do 50 reps. You're going to be able to accumulate a lot more training volume. But even with that said, you could still modify bodyweight exercises and do elevated push-ups to get some volume. You could do inverted rows instead of pull-ups to get some training volume. So really, you could just use bodyweight exercises, build plenty of muscle, never touch.
So yeah, like he's saying, you can do this bodyweight stuff and like you're going to make progress and get stronger. And it's like, yeah, you can do something. But like if you're going to do something, why not do it the best way at first? And then if you start off by doing it the best way, then later on you can, specialize in like bodyweight movements. That's really what you want to do. But if you build your base of strength with the compound movements, get as strong as possible, that's the best bang for your buck in the first few months and for your overall health and everything else, So I guess it depends on who you're talking to as well when you're making this video. And I know his audience is like, teen and 20-year-old guys. So I guess it matters less with them because it's like they can go do whatever and they're going to make progress. But like if you're, a 60-year-old guy watching this video, then there's that's a big factor to consider. You're not going to make the same amount of progress doing, push-ups as you are benching and pressing. You're not going to see the same, skeletal improvements. Your bone density is not going to improve the same amount from doing a pistol squat, or well, you can't even do a pistol squat if you're 60 and untrained. But like if you're doing a bodyweight squat, you're not going to see the bone density improvement of doing a loaded back squat. So
machines, never touch free weights. So that was quite an intro. These are just all things that were running through my head when I'm trying to pick my top 10 list. And I didn't realize it at first, but I do now. These top 10 lists are not necessarily the top 10 best exercises, period. I really like that Alec listed top 10 exercises for strength, power, athleticism, or whichever terms he used. He identified a clear objective. I think a lot of the other guys are doing the top 10 exercises for aesthetics or for muscular hypertrophy. What I'm going to do is list my top 10 exercises for a combination of strength, hypertrophy or muscle building, cardiovascular health, and enjoyment. I just like doing these exercises.
Yeah, I don't really care about any of that. We just care about strength. So anyways, that's really all I want to say about this video. So that's a big, something that really sticks in my craw when it comes to the barbell medicine guys in general. That's like their big thing. I forget who it was, but somebody like described them as like barbell nihilists. And just like don't agree with that school of thought where like, it doesn't matter what you do, just do something. I like how I pause it now. Alan's like looking at me with like disappointment and disapproval. But yeah, so it doesn't matter what you do. Obviously, big compound movements. Consider the 3 exercise criteria. After you do that, then you can kind of specialize and be like, I'm going to do hack squats and get my quads huge. And so that's also another big thing to factor in is like Alan is talking about doing a hack squat and how it's like you're going to get just as jacked, just as strong doing that. But he also has the hindsight of having gotten his squat up to like 500 or whatever, and then started doing a hack squat and then like starting to build his legs with that. So when you're already strong, everything is a lot easier. And that's the whole freaking point of doing the NLP is that once you get strong, you can transfer that strength and do whatever you want to do. So it's a lot easier to say like, oh, you can just do whatever and get stronger in hindsight when you've already gotten strong. But when you're starting out, like, especially if you're an average person, you're just not going to have the same results from anything else aside from doing the big barbell lifts. So stick to those for your time, for your novice linear progression. And then once you get to the end of that, then you can specialize and choose something else and do freaking one-armed sandbag pull downs and, farmer's carries and whatnot. But yeah, that's all I want to say for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And that's it. Have a great day, pal.